Hallucigenia, a creature like a hallucination. Imagine this around 500 million years ago. The Earth looked nothing like it does today. There were no trees on land, no animals roaming the continents. Life was still confined to the oceans, quietly evolving in strange and mysterious ways. And during that time, a creature swam across the seafloor that looked as if it had come straight out of a science fiction movie, Hallucigenia. Its name says it all. Because it looked so bizarre, so unreal, that the scientists who first discovered it could hardly believe their eyes. It was as if they were hallucinating. Hallucigenia was tiny, no longer than your finger, only about 1 to 5 centimeters in size. And yet, despite its small body, it looked terrifyingly strange. Long, sharp spines stuck out of its back. Beneath it hung thin, worm-like legs, almost like dangling threads. And the strangest part, no one could tell where its head was. Its body was so disproportionate, so alien, that describing it became a puzzle that challenged scientists for decades. The first fossils were discovered in 1911 by the Canadian paleontologist Charles Walcott. They came from the famous Burgess Shale, a rock formation that preserved an incredible diversity of ancient creatures. When Walcott first looked at Hallucigenia, he wasn't quite sure what he was seeing, because the creature's body shape was unlike anything else ever found. Decades later, in the 1970s, paleontologist Simon Conway Morris re-examined the fossils. And that's when a huge mistake was made. Morris accidentally flipped the creature upside down. Yes, you heard that right. For years, scientists drew Hallucigenia the wrong way up. The sharp spines on its back were mistaken for legs, and its true legs were thought to be strange tentacle-like extensions. In textbooks and papers, Hallucigenia was shown as a creature walking on stilts of spikes. This mistake lasted until the 1990s, when better preserved fossils and improved technology finally revealed the truth. The spines were actually armor, a defense mechanism. The thin threads underneath were the real legs that carried its soft body across the seafloor. Another mystery was its head. Early fossils made it almost impossible to tell which end was the front. For decades, scientists literally placed its head on the wrong side. They even put its eyes in the wrong place. But modern imaging techniques finally solved the riddle. Hallucigenia had 2 tiny eyes and a mouth ringed with teeth, like a little circular saw. This strange mouth likely allowed it to suck in microscopic organisms or organic debris from the ocean floor. So where does Hallucigenia fit on the tree of life? Here's where it gets fascinating. Despite looking like an alien, Hallucigenia is actually related to creatures that still exist today, the velvet worms. These soft-bodied animals, found in tropical regions, are distant cousins of Hallucigenia. This connection proves that even the strangest of creatures can leave traces that survive for hundreds of millions of years. But Hallucigenia's story is not just about its biology. It has become a symbol of science itself, of how often we can be wrong, and how those mistakes lead us closer to the truth. The upside-down drawings, the misplaced head, the decades of confusion, all of these remind us that science is a journey of trial and error. With every new fossil and every new technology, we get a clearer glimpse of what life was really like in Earth's ancient oceans. Now, try to picture it in the darkness of a prehistoric sea. A creature no longer than your fingertip creeps along the seafloor. Its spines ward off predators. Its tiny legs shuffle forward, slowly moving it across the sediment. For a brief moment in the vast timeline of life, Hallucigenia plays its role and then disappears, leaving only fossils to whisper its existence across 500 million years. Hallucigenia shows us that nature can create forms stranger than anything our imagination could invent. If you were to discover such a fossil today, you would probably think it was a joke or that someone had made a mistake. And yet it was real. It lived, it thrived, and it reminds us of just how bizarre and wonderful the history of life truly is. And perhaps the most haunting question is this: in the unexplored depths of our oceans today, could there still be creatures as strange as Hallucigenia waiting to be discovered? Even though scientists have studied Hallucigenia for decades, many mysteries remain. This tiny creature, no bigger than your fingertip, continues to challenge everything we thought we knew about early life. So let's dive even deeper into its story, into the unanswered questions, the latest discoveries, and why Hallucigenia is still one of the strangest animals to ever exist. First, let's think about its spines. Those long, sharp spikes running down its back weren't just for decoration. They were weapons. In the Cambrian seas, predators like Anomalocaris were the kings. With huge eyes and strong grasping claws, they could crush soft-bodied animals with ease. Hallucigenia's body was soft and vulnerable except for those terrifying spines. If a predator tried to swallow it, the sharp spikes would have made it a painful meal. In fact, this simple but effective defense may have been the only reason Hallucigenia survived as long as it did. But the spines also raise a question. Why did evolution produce such an extreme design for such a tiny animal? Some scientists believe that Hallucigenia's bizarre body was part of the Cambrian arms race, a time when animals were evolving new defenses and new weapons at an explosive pace. Armor, claws, teeth, eyes, it all appeared suddenly. Hallucigenia's spines may be evidence of just how intense survival had become in those ancient seas. Now let's turn to its mouth. The circular ring of teeth discovered inside Hallucigenia's throat has fascinated scientists. Imagine a conveyor belt of tiny hooks, pulling food down into its body. Some researchers think this was one of the earliest examples of a throat lined with teeth, a design that would later evolve in more advanced predators. Others argue it was simply a way to grip slippery particles of food. Either way, it shows us that Hallucigenia was far from simple. For such a small creature, it had an astonishingly complex anatomy. And what about its legs? They look weak, almost useless, like little noodles dangling beneath its body. Yet, those legs carried Hallucigenia across the seafloor, searching for food. Some scientists think it walked in a slow, wave-like motion, lifting one leg after another, almost like a millipede. Others suggest it didn't walk much at all, but used its legs to anchor itself in the sediment while its spiny body stood upright, waiting for food particles to drift by. No one knows for sure. And that's part of what makes this animal so intriguing. Even today, we are still guessing. But here's the bigger picture. Hallucigenia belongs to a group of animals called lobopodians, soft-bodied creatures with stubby legs. Most lobopodians are long gone, but a few descendants survive today, the velvet worms. These odd creatures crawl through tropical forests, squirting sticky slime to trap their prey. When scientists look at velvet worms, they see echoes of Hallucigenia. The same soft legs, the same worm-like body. It's as if Hallucigenia never fully disappeared, but left behind a faint shadow of itself in the modern world. Still, Hallucigenia stands apart. It wasn't just another worm. It was an evolutionary experiment, a design so strange that it seems almost impossible. And yet it worked. For millions of years, Hallucigenia survived, thrived, and passed on its genes. Until, finally, it vanished. Why? That, too, is a mystery. Maybe it was outcompeted by faster, stronger arthropods, the ancestors of insects, crabs, and spiders. Maybe climate change shifted the oceans in ways it couldn't adapt to. Whatever the reason, Hallucigenia eventually joined the long list of lifeforms that disappeared forever. But even in extinction, it lives on. Each fossil is a time capsule, carrying secrets from a world 500 million years gone. And every time a new Hallucigenia fossil is discovered, it forces scientists to rethink what they know. Is this the head or the tail? Are these teeth for biting or just for holding? Why does it look like no other creature before or since? Hallucigenia is more than a fossil. It's a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that the history of life is not a straight line, but a maze of experiments, failures, and surprises. When we see Hallucigenia, we are reminded that evolution doesn't always create creatures we find familiar. Sometimes it creates something so strange that even today With all our science and technology, we struggle to understand it. So next time you think of prehistory, don't just picture the dinosaurs or mammoths. Picture a tiny worm with spines like swords, legs like threads, and a mouth full of teeth. Picture Hallucigenia, the creature that looked like a hallucination, but was very, very real. And the final question remains, if life 500 million years ago could create something this strange, what else might still be waiting, buried in stone or hidden in the unexplored corners of our oceans?